Welcome back to Harbor. The tension in the Korean Peninsula has been rising to scary levels, I think, over the past couple of days. It started February 12th, actually, when the North conducted an underground nuclear test that led to a new round of sanctions at the UN on March 7th. North Korea on March 7th responded by announcing it was canceling the armistice agreement that ended the Korean War in '53. The United States in March began flying B-2 stealth bombers, which are capable of carrying nuclear weapons over the Korean Peninsula in what has been seen as a show of force to the north. Well, last week, North Korea cut off its military hotline, essentially its red phone, if you will, to the south. And on Saturday, the country announced it was entering a state of war. Well, today, this South Korean leader promised to deliver a strong response to any North Korean provocation. At the White House, Jay Carney tried to tamp down concerns about rising tension.
This pattern of bellicose rhetoric is not new. It is familiar. We take it very seriously. We take prudent measures in response to it, but it is consistent with past behavior.
Where's all this heading? NBC's Jim Mercedes in Seoul, South Korea. Jim, I worry about this because they're saying things like we can pursue, Kim Jong-un was saying that he could pursue economic advance for his people at the same time they develop nuclear weaponry. Well, that means we don't have at least in their minds, we don't have a lever to punish them if they do.
That's right, Chris, and we may not have a lever. You know, the big question is whether this guy is insane or whether he is very sane, very rational, and knows exactly what he's doing. The South Koreans I'll tell you, they think it's bluster. They say they've heard this all before, this ratcheting up of pressure, of tension, of rhetoric, which is why this city of Seoul, some 10 million people, remain relatively calm. And you think about the DMZ only 30 miles away, it's going about its business quite normally. It's always been, Chris, extremely unlikely that Kim Jong-il would launch a full-scale offensive against the South. And we're trying to figure out where this is all going. If he wouldn't use all of his artillery and missiles and 700,000 soldiers amassed on the border. Kim Jong-un is a young man. He's naive, but he's not crazy, at least not the experts. The experts don't think that, the ones we're talking to. They say that he wouldn't sacrifice his country in a battle that he couldn't win. It's much more likely that we could see a smaller strike, something like if you call that tornado attack, the torpedo attack in 2010 on that South Korean vessel. It killed almost 50 South Korean sailors. That's the kind of nightmare scenario, if you will, or something that would trigger a nightmare scenario. You've got these war games going on for yet another month. We know how much that antagonizes Kim Jong-un. So striking a small South Korean ship is a real danger. Why would he do that? Primarily to gain credibility, not just with his people, but also with the military top brass. He only came up 2 years ago, and these are the kinds of things, these semi-wars or virtual wars, that do wonders for strong men like Kim. By the way, a number of sources here were holding their breath over the past few days, but they're now telling us that the crisis, at least they think, has crested, that it's already behind us. Back to you.
Okay, Jim Mercedes in Seoul, thanks for that report. Right now, we have joining us now is Ben Chang. He worked for the NSC, the National Security Council, under President Obama. So let's get to the heart of this thing. Why is he doing it, and what's the danger to us?
Sure. Well, I think when we look at issues like this and scenarios like this, we look at a couple different things: timing, audiences, and context. At the end of the day, the North Koreans have had a knack for landing big events or announcements on holidays, but rest assured this is not being taken as an April Fool's joke. Yeah. As the U.S. has demonstrated, the government has demonstrated the commitment to our alliances in the region, and we can see that with the next few weeks of exercises that are going on, because our commitment is strong to Japan, to Korea, and to the region. As to why he's doing this, obviously there are a lot of people trying to delve into the mind of this young leader, but let's keep in mind that he's meeting with his own parliamentary assembly, if you will, as real or a facade as that might be. And there's also about
as real as independence in that army over
there.
Sure.
There's also new.
I've never seen a country with more robots. Everybody walks, smiles the same way. They all march the same way. They move their hands the same way. They move their bodies the same way, just as long as this guy's watching.
Well, and of course, this touches on the real tragedy, Chris, as you know, in North Korea, with this military-first philosophy, all these resources that otherwise would go to the development of their own people are going to the military.
Why do they have a military?
Well, they have a military. They've built up this this scenario where the world is against them, and of course, this dates back to the.
Who would want North Korea? I'm just being sarcastic, but it's true. Why would anybody want to invade that country?
Well, at the end of the day, this is the mythos that the leadership over the time and you know, this fellow's father and grandfather have built up. And as such, you have to look at the messaging he's giving his own people and these new administrations that, at least that he perceives this is the message he wants to send to the new president of South Korea.
Let's talk about us.
Sure.
Back in 1950, his grandfather made a mistake of attacking the South, and of course they got him all the way down to Busan. They got him back to the very tip of the peninsula. It looked very bad for South Korea, and we came in there because of the Incheon landing under MacArthur. We threw them right back up to the Yalu, and then we pushed too far. We brought the Chinese in. Nobody thought that would happen. That happened. It's a series of unintended realities. First of all, they attacked, then the Chinese attacked, and every time we were off base. That's my fear. How do we read this guy to our benefit? How do we know when it's time to scare him a little back into his box, if we can do that?
Well, let's look at what we do know and what has been done. I mean, one of the most important things, and the President and Tom Donilon, National Security Advisor, and others have been making this very clear, that we need to shore up our alliances in the region. I mean, these exercises, while timed for every spring, and the North Koreans know this, are a very, very strong demonstration. And you've already touched on, as did Jim, the assets that are in that region, because we take these commitments very seriously. The other thing that has happened, which is important to remember, is the passage unanimously, including China, of Resolution 2094 at the UN last month, or the month before, which tightens even more, not only sanctions in general, but really goes after the means through which proliferation can occur, smuggling can occur, luxury goods get to North Korea. I mean, this is the way that we find.
Unfortunately, we've already done that, and he's still threatening.
But there's a difference, of course, between threats, bellicose rhetoric.
And my big fear is he's going to paint himself into a corner where he's got to be as bellicose as he sounds, as dangerous as he sounds, and that's my big fear. You always give a rat a way to escape. He's not giving himself a way to escape, which scares me. Well, we got to go.
Okay.
Well, I hope we don't have to have you back, because that means there's trouble with it. We'll have you back for other reasons. Thank you, Ben Chang. Up next. Let me end tonight with this. I think we've got to worry about North Korea. There's something wild and unruly going on up there. The new young leader seems to have no idea what he looks like outside the country. Just check the haircut. It's what he wants to look like inside that matters to this guy. Is he the boss? Can he tell the military what to do? Is he enough of a deity among the people to intimidate the military who might challenge him? These are questions he's testing right now. It would be nice to hope that he won't go too far to show his force of will, but we can't be that hopeful. I'm wondering what pressures we can apply that would, without spooking the guy, tell him to limit his demonstrations of strength to words and words alone. His grandfather made a terrible mistake back in 1950 when he invaded the South. It would be a catastrophe if the grandson made the same mistake. And that's hardball. Thanks for being with us. Politics Nation with Al Sharpton starts right now.